for TT we talked about already being denied by Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, and TT, they're moving towards the exact same kind of bans that they have been taking off of the board previously. They do also take the Annie out very early on into this game, clearly not excited by the concept of Doinb being able to just flash ult them and get a kill pretty much at will onto whoever he wants. So ThunderTalk, what do you go towards as the B1? Everything that we would usually see B1able has now been taken off the board, you are absolutely right. Maybe you go towards something like the Trundle if you want something that's very strong in the overall meta at the moment. Ooh,
come on.
You might be a god. Okay.
All right.
Slayer.
Awesome.
Stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to get SeTab back on a dueling AD mid laner. This is something that's been so few and far between. Issue for TT, yeah, that's Doinb Rise. So this is fun, though. We're blasted back to split one. Doinb Rise was taking over the league. SeTab, Yone, and Yasuo was getting them to the top of their group with BLG in it. We're going to blast for the past in our final match.
Hey, I like it. I like it. And the Rise is being picked up here by Doinb. Not necessarily into the most comfortable of matchups. If SeTab is able to land a couple of those knockups, you can potentially go for these solo kills. You're more as the Rise looking to just farm at your waves as always, and then go pair up with other people across the rest of the map. I highlighted the Lee Sin as potentially something that Arky wanted to go towards and play, but Naiyou has also been really enjoying this one. And off the back of a mega performance on the Pantheon, he has the confidence going forwards to say, hey,
there we go.
I want to take it to my opponents. I also do really like the Lee Sin paired up with the Rise because you can get these cool flanks off early on to just punish your opponents for the smallest of missteps.
TT, though, have kind of bluffed out NIP because they did this, right? Exactly. They did not pick the Sejuani. They dared Naiyou to get boxed into having to deny the pick. So that gives one of the most powerful mid-jungle duos. It may be hard to remember, but again, split one and the start of split two, it was ban or play against Yone Sejuani out of so many LPL teams in the mid-jungle.
And people have still been putting a lot of respect on it. As soon as the Yone popped up, a lot of people are taking away the Sejuani. I also just like the Sejuani for Arky. I think he works really well for him when he can be on these sort of engaged champions with a little bit of extra tankiness. And you've now got two champions that are melee and going to help you out with constantly stacking up that permafrost. It's going to be very tricky to move once you get engaged upon right here for NIP. Now, Leave, we just saw him have a brilliant performance on a late-game scaler. I was talking about the Smolder as potentially good pickup for 1xN. NIP, they're going to read that, take it away, and give Leave another one of these late-game carries.
Oh, this is so awesome. And I'd like to thank the Fearless for it. We're getting so many staple champions from these players on both sides. Leave, again, calling back to that play-in series up against FPX, which they playoffs that they did end up losing in that playoffs, but Leave was a reason why it went the distance for Ninjas in Pyjamas. And he gets to play another scaling threat, like you talked about the center. We roll into the second phase of bans. Really smart 6-ban from NIP. Remember, it's an AD mid laner. Those come few and far between right now in the meta, which means got to get rid of any AP threats that 1xN could land on.
Yeah, exactly. You really don't want to allow 1xN to just pop himself off on something like that. I mean, honestly, the Ziggs ADC really hasn't been that impressive. It just feels so impressive because when you look at Zig stats, you get Knight's mid lane Zig stats popping up for you, and that's been rolling, kids. Yeah, he's been very, very strong on this one. It's also going to be that Sivir taken off the board. I did wonder if that was going to go. That's now the majority of these big hyperscalers that we've been thinking of taken away. If you still want to go towards that, you're now looking at that tier 2 of champions. You could potentially go towards the Jinx. That's still been in a relatively strong position. The Tristana as well has been nice. I do like the Tristana in this composition. It gives you that extra bit of mobility to join up if everybody does want to go diving into the backline. Otherwise, I don't know. If you still want to go towards something like the Caitlyn, as you highlighted earlier, I don't think this is a terrible game for it.
I would like the Jhin here. I think this is playing the range. You don't need to bring a ton of scaling damage because you do have the Yone. It's that sneaky setup. I don't know how comfortable 1xN is playing it, though. On the flip side for NIP, they definitely need somebody to abuse the fact that TT are going to be really AD reliant, and Cassante will fit that bill.
Yep.
Wonder if it would have been the Ornn, but Solokill likes the Cassante more. Where is 1xN's head at? Wombo, dive threat. There's a lot of ways you can go from here.
There are, and I think this is one of my favorite ways. I wasn't really expecting it. I thought they were just going to go for something a little bit further back, try to play through the later stages of the game, but instead, ThunderTalk, they're going to be perfectly happy to put some extra pressure onto their main man, and in this composition where everybody else is already diving forward, why not pair that up alongside an ADC that can join you in this quest. You still need a top laner that can jump forwards too. The Gnar, I think, fits the bill pretty well. Into the Cassante as well, you have a very easy lane matchup. You're not going to be too worried about dying. And now, once you've got that Mega Gnar, if that can get onto somebody, push everybody into a wall, you can pair that up with the Fate Shield so easily into a huge wombo combo.
I'm glad you point out the strength of the Kai'Sa, though, too. Another thing, mixed magic, mixed damage profile, right? So you can have AP routes. I expect 1xN to maybe index mostly into AP, but when you have a bunch of low-range champions want to throw themselves at you, Renata value skyrockets. This may just be the X-Factor pick of this draft that wins this game and series for NIP. Renata, a hostile takeover, nobody on TT can escape it.
Yeah,
nobody.
No,
Zero people.
Not. The whole point of this TT composition is that they're going to jump at you. They're going to go flying into the backline and try to kill you. And if you just pop that ulti down, this is one of the best Renata angles I've seen. I'm not surprised that NIP pick it up for themselves. ThunderTalk will have had to have been aware that this was a possibility. It's something that Niket does play, and it's something that's just very strong in the meta overall anyway. That being said, you do now have a little bit of an interesting situation where Solokill and Naiyou are going to want to go jumping into the backline, whereas Doinb and Leave, they kind of want to sit back, play this one out a little bit slower, and the front to back itself is a little bit weaker overall for the Lee Sin. You're more about that pick potential, so it does make it less of a coherent overall composition, but I'm still not mad about it. I think you've got a lot of individually strong pickups right here, and a lot of comfort too for the members of NIP.
First game of this series where it really feels like TT do have the agency advantage, though, and that may be a very fun crux to follow up against NIP. So many fun staple champions and such an influential end game on the state of Group Nirvana. TT and NIP, by the end of by the Nexus Explosion comes, could be just beside each other in the standings at 3-2, having to go play each other a couple days away. Will NIP get closer to the undefeated, untouched EDG? It's time to find out.
Coming into the second round robin here, it is very, very important that you keep yourself at least level enough with EDG if you want any hope of being able to pick up that top spot, or at least just find yourself in an easier matchup with some of these worse group ascend teams. Incredibly important, not just in this individual matchup, but because it's a doubleheader, like you said, on Thursday. At the end of Thursday, we're going to know a lot about the standings of Group Nirvana. It's going to tell us a lot about the relative strength of these teams. And it's all going to come down to this matchup right here. Can ThunderTalk finally find themselves not just a good early game, but a good mid game? That's something they haven't had this entirety of this series so far.
And the bigger question to me, Bloxxer, can we finally get a good game, a consistent game out of SeTab? Even in the game one win, the Orianna was constantly punished. Or, sorry, the Aurora was constantly punished. It took, a stalled-out game to get it in enough of a position to impact the fights. But those come a dime a dozen, diamond in the rough, whatever saying you want to throw out. But even in this spot, it's so much bigger. You drafted the B1 Yone, a comfort pick for SeTab. That he needs to use to bring home here is minions crash in for the first time to their specific waves, and you see junglers starting on the same side of the map here, so we're going to path towards each other in that top crab to be the likely first action. Outside of these bottom lanes, just throwing some abilities around.
Yeah, you do expect these two bottom lanes to just constantly be poking each other about. 1xN and Feather will be a little bit stronger in this 2v2 once you've got yourself that level 2 at least, if not the level 3. But up until that point, yeah, the Alistar barely going to give you anything, just going to get pushed around a little bit right here by the NIP bot lane. And you need to make sure this isn't how the entirety of this laning phase goes, because you cannot afford to be giving a Smolder a free laning phase. Similarly to how giving a Senna a free laning phase went poorly in the previous game for ThunderTalk, I think it's even worse to allow Smolder to just stack up. If he gets to 225 early enough, I mean, there's nothing you can do.
No. Senna with, early scale is, alright, the range is annoying. Healing becomes pretty annoying. Smolder early scaling, game is over. Yeah, so leave a player marked by positioning mistakes that have floundered, such amazing fight styles from him. A lot asked of him as well. Good to highlight this Smolder. And we'll check in on him later, but there's a Lee Sin to track for Naiyou, who's going to be the catalyst of the early game. And he is already pathing towards this crab. It's actually Aki, though, that gets his clear done first, so he'll be here to hover SeTab, and SeTab looks like he's got a decent push in mid lane, so Aki going to be in position to grab this crab, and I like this from Naiyou. He realizes his slow's a bit more clear, and he's going to head down to make sure he doesn't get double crab.
Yeah, doesn't want to get double crab right here, and being able to just path away from the Sejuani makes a lot of sense early on. You often think of Lee Sin as a pretty good early skirmisher, but the amount of base damage that Sejuani has can be pretty insane. It can be really tricky to actually try to deal with, so just path away from that one. Be around his bottom side as well, keep them safe whilst they have a little bit of a early reset. Actually, Feather stepping up a bit far here, needs to be careful.
So let's get a good little pulverized down, so Naiyou can't go any further. At least gains information that Naiyou did in fact go for that bot crab. And they get Leave. Leave does get his reset first, but 1xN, oh, he's going to go towards the mid lane. So a little bit of a shake-up on those classic lane swaps we usually see.
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, right, you do just want to give 1xN the easiest lanes available to him. And also, having him in the mid lane means that you can either just walk them up towards the top side if you now want to reset through as Hoya, or you could just stay in the mid lane, keep absorbing pressure there, and then potentially move down towards a Drake fight if you want it. Looks like the answer is just going to be 1xN moves up, picks up a little bit in the mid lane. Going to pick up this wave in the top side. It is going to be a matched swap. No top laner is going to end up in a horrible situation where they can't step up and farm, which is always nice to see for them. Still, it's going to be dragon spawning on the bottom side of the map. It's going to be an Ocean Drake as well. The earlier you can grab an Ocean Drake, the better it is for your laning phase, especially for these tankier top laners. It'll be interesting to see who heads towards this one. So far, Aki has headed straight onto it, and he does use the Arctic Assault over the wall as well to avoid being spotted out.
Wow. Dragons have been slow to start up in this series.
Yeah.
We had so many late souls come across, but Aki, yeah, making that a different priority in this game. And SeTab has that push on the Yone that brings a lot more sustained damage to these early neutral takes. Yeah. TT picking up the first dragon before Grubs are even in the realm of spawning, 2.5 minutes out. And you talked about the swaps as well. Like Hoya keeping his 1v1, range Gnar is so annoying for melees to deal with, so Hoya going to get a lot of value, hopefully building up a CS lead of his own by doing so.
Absolutely. So, things nice and calm and collected throughout the early stages of this game. We weren't expecting anything too explosive so far. The first point at which we usually see a little bit of early aggression from these teams is going to be around these grubs. And like I said, still 2 minutes out on that one. We take a quick pan down towards the bottom side of the map. Teleport coming in right here from Leave. He's looking to retake his bottom lane. It's going to be the reset for Solokill as well. Yeah, Solokill definitely does not want to be in this matchup right here. It's pretty rough, honestly, to be playing into this Gnar, because you could just get poked out so easily. You get outranged, and then as soon as the Mega Gnar comes through, you don't actually just beat out the Mega Gnar.
Oh, Aki, the worst for brush to face check. Luckily, he has his ult available. The Fate Seal does land onto Doinb. Good flash from Naiyou. And SeTab can't get himself back out. Feather does pop the ghost. So looking to chase down these ultimate members of NIP. The terrible headbutt pulverized gets Naiyou caught. And the Realm Warp won't even get Doinb out. Bail out. Hell no. Double kill to 1xN. What a start for ThunderTalk.
Gorgeous, exactly what ThunderTalk would have wanted, and it's all off the back of NIP thinking that they have themselves a pick. But thing is, Sejuani, even at this point in the game, is going to be tankier than that. Still got a giant spell in inventory, and without having yourself a Smolder in that fight, you really just don't have the damage to be able to burst through Aki. It's also
it's ultimate advantage
who has ultis. Yeah. Look at who has ultis. Naiyou, no ulti. Niket, obviously no ulti. The fact you immediately get Fate sealed up means that the re-engage can just come through. Still, Feather, no ulti is the main engage right here. Flash, headbutt, pulverize, lands onto 2, and even manages to step up to get that next little bit of stun down onto Doinb, meaning that he definitely falls in that fight.
Feather has been such a consistent catalyst for TT all the way back to Split 1, where it really felt like a lot of TT's success was him and Beichuan constantly pushing action. And no matter how far, both these teams have fallen, it's been nice to see some of that magic for right now Feather, but I'm sure we'll get it from Doinb later on in this game too, showing up in Group Nirvana in a series that still matters so much where these teams currently stand. Where the map currently stands, though, Void Grubs are on the Rift and have spawned. 1xN on the top side as well, cashing in that 2-0 start. It's going to give a lot of power to TT, and all their ults that they just used are back online. You still have that Sejuani Glacial Prison. You do still have SeTab's Fate Sealed, both coming up in mere seconds.
Exactly. This is just going to give that extra level of power. And interestingly enough, ThunderTalk, they've also not roamed Hoya up. He's just going to keep pushing down onto this bottom side of the map. He has no teleport, so this is going to be a 5v4. That does mean that ThunderTalk actually can't step up, at least not for this first one. I don't know that they can step up at all in this situation. No, it looks like they're just going to concede these ones over. The grubs are very important, especially on this sort of composition. I would have really liked ThunderTalk to be able to pick themselves up at least one of the grubs.
Yeah, they're just a bit too late. They get Hoya. They get Hoya 2 plates. I think that's the small win. Don't know if Doinb really wants to chase down Hoya. All right, nothing more to come with that. Yeah, NIP better on the rotate, overload, and get those grubs out of the hands of, like you called out, out of the Yone's hands, out of the Gnar's hands. That's honestly a bigger win to me than getting it onto the Rise.
Exactly. You can split push with this NIP composition, and I'm sure that they will if they're in a position to do so in the later stages of this game. But ThunderTalk were always going to try to play these side lanes. They have great side laners, and without those grubs, it's just that extra little bit of power. There's a little bit less threat. These towers are going to survive for a bit longer, and it's a small victory for NIP, but that's how they've been winning these games, right? Small victories, building them up block by block. Still, it's going to be 40 seconds now until the next Drake is going to spawn. A Chemtech Drake will join us on the Rift, and so far it's been ThunderTalk setting up as much vision as possible around this objective. They conceded the grubs. They do not seem to want to concede these.
Curious what Naiyou was camping out so long for. Hoya had flash. I don't really know if you want to dive a Gnar, so he's still in. He's still there. He's going to try and get the wave in. He spent half a minute up here on this top side where all that dragon setup does go away. 1xN's looking for a reset here. I think he should have first item. Hoya's soaking up a lot of pressure. At least NIP are going to get a ton of value out of the grubs here. So might get almost all the plates off of this turret.
Now that Feather has arrived, it should be Hoya being able to step up. A couple plates are still going to remain, but you called it out critically. The fact that it's just pressure up towards the top side of the map gives a perfect window for 1xN to go back.
Leave does not have a cleanse, but he does have a flash. Good recognition of a free trade there for Aki. Now Smolder is going to be under threat for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, you take that one every single day of the week. The fact that you don't have the Glacial Prison going to be significantly less impactful. You've also now got 1xN rejoining with that Kraken Slayer in inventory, so he's going to be in a very strong spot, and that's even before he's been able to complete that cull. He's got that extra injection of cash coming in soon as well. Teleport going to be coming in. This is a Feather also teleport to join the fight.
Yep, Feather and also Hoya, so they're here.
Hoya,
TT are making a statement. They're saying, we are playing for dragons, and Naiyou cannot get the steal. Fate Seal does get on the back line here from SeTab, but he gets stunned up. He's going to have to jump back. Luckily, Niket is able to survive. Solokill grabs SeTab, though, into an own 1v1 and makes him pay for his transgressions. Dragon at a price here for ThunderTalk.
I do not think that in that situation SeTab wanted to land that Fate Sealed onto the backline. I think he was specifically looking for whoever was straight in front of him, and instead gets pulled way further in. It pulls him way out of position as well, takes a ton of damage, snaps back, and Solokill is there ready to pick up the kill. Still, the Drake is picked up. There's now 2 right here for ThunderTalk. Feather over the wall. Doinb.
He's got the phase rush.
He's fine. He's fast enough. It's alright.
So big kill for Solokill to get. As we look back at that, like you called out, I think it's a good flash from Naiyou after he realized he doesn't get the steal.
I think that he doesn't want to hit that onto Niket right there. That pulls him way out of position, unfortunately. Good job on Solokill to be able to just finish that one off. Big injection of cash as well into the Cassante. He's going to be happy to have picked that one up. First items are now coming through, so we can see what the moves are going to be. Aki going towards the Heartsteel. Now, there's been a lot of discussion recently of whether or not that's good or not. I personally have still liked picking it up on the Sejuani, but I've heard a lot of people being like, nah, it's useless. There's no point in picking it up. So, interesting to see.
In this game, I'm a little bit iffy on it. How many opponents are you going to get Heartsteel stacks on in like more elongated fights? It's like Naiyou and Solokill. What I need to see from Aki here is that flash timer. We need to be threatening leave. He should not be allowed to just sit and chill and farm these waves, even if it's diving, right? This TT comp, if it's SeTab and Aki, and honestly 1xN with Killer Instinct, Turret should not even be a safe haven for this flashless Smolder.
Absolutely not, and they were able to pick up that flash off of the Smolder about 2.5 minutes ago, so you've still got a little while left before it's going to be back up and available, but it is over halfway back now, and you do need to punish it. Getting the flash out every single time is important, but getting the flash out and then punishing the flash as Smolder is going to be a key to victory right here for ThunderTalk, that so far they haven't seemed particularly interested in trying to exploit. We'll see if they will try for it a little bit further in the future. For right now, we've got a little while until any of these big objectives are coming up, so everybody's just picking up as much farm as possible, trying to hit that first item breakpoint if they haven't already. For right now, it's just going to be SeTab, who still needs to head back to base to pick himself up that Bork to start things off. Once he has it, it's going to make it a lot easier to get into the backline and then stay there without getting chunked down.
Kales is going to be completed here for Niket. That's big because the Smolder took teleport because Leave wanted to get stacks as quickly as possible. Yep. So that can get him out of that Glacial Prison bind in a pinch. That's going to be huge value from this Renata going forward. Important to remember, across this series, this moment, post-plates dropping until late game, has been when NIP have been much better on the map here. Doinb not going to take enough damage. I thought he wasn't, but man, where did that sauce come out from Aki?
Glacial Prison right there from Aki just pops through. People really do underestimate the amount of damage that a Sejuani can do early on. Those base damages are really, really high, and that's also going to result in this top lane tower falling and a huge amount of pressure on the top side of the map right as Rift Herald is up and available. 5 seconds until that one's on the board. They can head back to base, spend that gold, come back out, and feel very comfortable to potentially contest for this objective.
Doesn't get any Heartsteel stacks, but picks up that kill. Solokill. Going to solo out this turret. So that is going to give another bit of gold back over to NIP. Feats of Warfare with that top lane turret going down is secured by TT. And now they're looking to push the tempo a little bit. Aki doesn't have the Glacial Prison back around just yet. But it's not assuaging TT from going for this Rift Herald. Even on Vision, SeTab confident these resets are having to come through.
Yep.
With Naiyou heading back to base. Now he's going to come off of the Rift Herald. Okay.
Well, he was waiting for the wave to step up a little bit. I guess didn't want to push it overly far forwards and get himself caught out on the side lane again. Not that he hasn't gotten caught on lots of side lanes before. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure with that one. Still, it gives you enough time to get a couple more members around for this Rift Herald.
Now they're going.
Bring people in. Now, it looks like they want to play it. But this is going to draw a bit of a fight in, right? I don't know that NIP are just going to allow this one to go through right under their noses.
I think they will because this is a very positive trade. They're going to be able to get the first Mountain Drake. They at least have the inside track. They're stealing some camps away. TT made it such a point to get down here for the second Drake. They TP'd in 2 members.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a weird timer. I thought they were late and the Mountain Drake could just get started, but NIP don't go for it, and now they can go for the classic Herald drop mid, allows them to get the mid wave up, and now Herald should crash in. SeTab just poking and prodding. Should get Shelly up to the turret, but I don't think it will. Backside of the fight though here, look at Solokill. Oh, he pulls SeTab back towards Naiyou, cancels the Fate Seal with the Cassante ultimate. Great understanding of the kit there from Solokill.
Wow, that's a disaster of a macro play right there from ThunderTalk. They go get the Herald so that they can do the Herald crashes into mid lane play that we've seen a million times before, but they don't push the wave anywhere near far enough forward. SeTab steps up in a stilly spot and gets taken out, and that's going to result in the Drake going over as well. That stops the Drake stacking from coming through. It could have been Mountain Soul already, so a point already for ThunderTalk, and instead they put themselves in a hole for really no reason. What happens to SeTab?
Face check.
He just face checks Cassante.
Oh, it's just
this
such
is the
a
thing
great
with the Cassante,
combo.
right? This is why you're perfectly happy to pick this one up early on, even though it means that you get into what is a rough lane matchup alongside the Gnar. It doesn't matter. The Gnar matchup is not where you're trying to win this game. You're trying to win this game by just pulling members out of position with that all-out once we get into these team fights and skirmishes, and it's a great job of that right there for Solokill. He had a brilliant game in the previous one on the Aatrox, and so far so good here on the Cassante.
Just gets even sweeter, too, knowing that 1xN for now is purely AD damage based. With the Kraken Slayer coming, he's going to get an attack speed item. And look at all the glorious armor this Cassante is already stacking up. He's going to be just 2 armor items deep, not far along from here. You can see how high up he is in top 4 of player gold. Hoya 1xN especially the double kill when Extend got, is to be expected, but this game is still anyone's for the taking, and cannot stress this enough, Bloxxer. This point in the games 1 and 2 is when that NIP league that you said we should expect to see really blossomed.
Yeah, exactly. They are beginning to get themselves to these item break points that we were waiting for. Been looking good. SeTab tries to get a little bit of a pick onto leave, but is not quite going to be able to manage it. That's now going to be 2 items on a couple of these key carries right here. Still no Heartsteel stacks picked up for Arky, so far the doubters, the haters of the Heartsteel are correct.
Yeah, they really are.
Just hasn't really been able to get anything ahead. There hasn't been any real skirmishing for Arky. He hasn't actually seen a champion that he's been able to hit in, what, a good 5-6 minutes at this point in the game? We are 90 minutes in, though, so it is going to be the Atakan spawning in just under a minute's time. And we've seen time and time again teams who start this one up completely throwing their games away. For ThunderTalk, the Atakan has not been a good place to fight so far this series. NIP, they've been having a much better time of it.
And part of that has been because they're so good at punishing mispositions on the side lanes. Hate to stress it again, but this is the phase where SeTab has died way too many times in this game. And this time TT are at least shadowing him as he is on the side with that Atakan. Hoya's doing a really good job getting some waves pretty deep into the top side. It's holding Doinb in place. With all this going on, gotta look at Aki to try and cut down this smolder. I mean, he's just daring you to throw one of those glacial prisons out at him.
Yeah, he's saying, hey, come on, I can survive it. Let's see. And so far, I mean, Aki has been really good with the glacial prisons. He's been pretty on point with them. As much as he doesn't have Heartsteel stacks, he's still been a big part of why ThunderTalk right now are sat in a small gold advantage as they are. Solokill stepping up, though. He's very tanky at this point in the game. He doesn't have to worry particularly about getting chunked down. SeTab, you can see, just gives him a little tickle. I was slightly worried he was about to get all outed and pulled through, but at least with the Soul Unbound, he would have had the ability to snap back. Things again stalling out though. This every single time it feels like ThunderTalk can't push the advantage. NIP are so happy to make things slow in this game, and they are, right? Yes, you've got yourself a Lee Sin, which is thought of more as an early game champion, but with the Rise and especially the Smolder, you're so happy to just allow this game to wait. You're now on 212 stacks. The 225 is very, very close right here for Leave.
Believe Doinb also will complete the Seraphs on this reset. He should be sitting on a huge chunk of gold with his Roa fully stacked up. That's a big point to highlight there. Yep, there's the Seraphs done.
There it
so
is. Yep.
Again, it's NIP just leaning on the same crutch. They know Doinb and Leave are so good on these scaling champions. And we are yet to see this Glacial Prison Fate Seal combo like even really try. It's been one or the other at points earlier on. That got TT in a good spot, but it's not what you do to get that small lead. It's what you do when you have it to create wins. That might be just the most frustrating point, honestly, for both these two teams in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a bunch of tools in their bag, but they are so scared to actually use them, try to push the pace of the game on. And I think in this game it's fine for NIP, but it's kind of egregious here for ThunderTalk. They have to try make this work. You've given 1xN one of these earlier game champions. You had the option of giving him a super late game scaler, and you didn't. Now they're at least going to start up this Atakan. Naiyou is in the area though, and Lee Sin good for steals.
Realm Warp. Doinb's going to get both the scaling carries in here. Feather going to knock the Lee Sin out, but Naiyou goes in and steals the Atakan. Fate sealed on the Solokill. The Cassante will go down. But you'll take that trade any day of the week. The Naiyou Lee Sin does not disappoint. And IP, they will have to sack this Mountain Drake. They are 5 versus 4 for the time being. SeTab can teleport his way back in. You see how dark the pit is. Just take your Atakan prize and leave. Soul Point is a problem for another day, Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, the fact that that one's stolen away is huge right there from Naiyou. Otherwise, it would have been a 1 fight, a 1 Drake, and the Atakan in the back pockets of ThunderTalk. That's the snap engage that I need to see from them, but it was just a little bit mistimed. You see Feather pushes Naiyou away just before he really needed to. It gives Naiyou just enough time to get back into the pit and arrive to steal that one. Huge steal from him. We've seen a couple of Smite fights go back and forth, and Naiyou has come out on top the majority of the time. The key difference was that single Elder Drake in the first game. Doinb potentially getting picked right here.
How do you like this medicine? Getting jumped on a side lane. Flashes. Aki matches it, but they don't get the Sejuani stun. The Seraph Shield providing just enough value. TP coming in, though. NIP, are they going to look to turn this with Solokill? He definitely wants to, but the Gnar ult has to come down. And TT just can't do what NIP have done well all series long, and that's finding kills on the sides.
So frustrating. The permafrost was sat on 3 stacks for so long, but nobody could step up far enough. The joy of the Gnar is that you do get to help out stack up those stacks when you're in your mega form, but as mini, you can't help out.
Nope.
So every single one of those autos landing just isn't giving you the stack. You don't get the stun off, and of course, we watch as Doinb gets to walk away. That would have been a big kill to have picked up. Doinb's had a pretty chill game for himself so far. And getting that pick would have been nice. Big pressure right now from NIP into the mid lane. Naiyou sat over the wall as well. They could potentially go for an engage once this tower falls.
Tower's down. Hoya was thinking about making a move towards the mid lane with no Gnar bar up, and he'll go back bot side. Talked about who the biggest benefactors are of the chilling game that NIP have had for the most part. It's again Leave, who is so good on stacking, scaling AD series, which yes, very niche amount of champions fit that bill, but he's played 2 of them.
For them.
Yeah, and it's the meta for them on 1xN. Realm Warp in. Doinb going to get the Rune Prism. Immediately cleanse back out. Naiyou, though, flash kick. Serves up 1xN with a side of fries. One more kick should do it, but the Glacial Prison interrupts it. Zolk has to flash out. Now pulls SeTab into his team. Solo kills Cassante. Is just diffing all at ThunderTalk right now.
Yeah, he's all over this game. And NIP, they find that snap engage. It was a misposition from 1xN, a rare misposition, but he stepped a little bit too far forwards. That's going to be the Baron unlocked right now. Nothing that you can do. Yes, Aki is alive. But without the Glacial Prison and without any friends, it's going to be impossible for them to be able to take this one away. It should be traded back for a top lane tier 2 tower right here. At least Hoya is going to be able to grab this, and this is going to be one less wave that you really have in a position to push through. That's something, but it's not a lot right here. That's a real rough fight for ThunderTalk.
Oh, Bloxxer, I used to pray for times like this, man. NIP take a Baron down 15 seconds after it spawns.
Hell yeah.
They've learned. We're learning in Nirvana, everybody.
Hopefully, although I do not trust that these teams won't still find a different way to stall this game out. We'll have a look back. Yeah, 1xN's just trying to push this wave in underneath the tower, and it's a great round wave out of Doinb. Naiyou, he has to flash kick, but the second the flash kick comes through, he is definitely dead. I was, at this moment, like, there's no way, but no, flash forwards from Solokill. He has the confidence to just keep on going in, and the fact that he's now behind SeTab means that he can all out to pull him further away from his tower, allowing for that kill to come through. Really nice.
Oh, pick on a Doinb, though. Where's the Fate Sealed? Mom comes down. You want why there's no Fate Sealed? Because SeTab's off to the side. He's got a flank angle, but why flank? Your team is burning alive to Leave, who gets his first scorching, screaming, smolder execute kill.
It's happened again. It's happened again, Slayer, where Leave gets a pretty free lane, is able to just chill. Death so far on this Smolder, and hit 225 stacks quite a while ago, is now at the point with 3 items where he is just running through people.
Oh my god, NIP. They're trying to speedrun this game. All right, it was a little bit of fake out. It's like, hey, it's just our tank Cassante, guys. What are you so scared of? Nothing to deal with. Gets them the inhibitor turret, though, and the inhibitor down next, so... man, it might have taken way too long, but this is the pace that I want to see against NIP, against weaker opponents.
Absolutely. We highlighted ThunderTalk when we came into today by saying that they win against teams that are worse than them, and they lose against the better teams, and this is happening so far. Aki going to be the one jumped, relatively tanky on the Sejuani.
Hostile takeover, going to hit Aki. I believe it's cleansed by Feather, but you know what matters most? It's just Leaves damage is preposterous by this point. It's a 3-item Infinity Edge up Dragon. Maybe we don't even need this Drake. NIP are just so content on fighting anytime they see an angle. Feather going to fall down as well. I think that was a reset. Oh my god, I forgot they have 3 teleports. All right, we're bringing Solokill back up and around to this one. Wow, 2 40-minute games, and NIP are pissed off about it. Probably pissed off they even had to get 3 games up against ThunderTalk, and now they're looking to settle the score pre-30 minutes. And with the damage out of Leave and the knockbacks out of this Cassante, Solokill leaving his mark on this series. And it might have taken way too many fights, way too many mistakes. But NIP at the end of the day will end the first round robin 4-1 right on the heels of EDG.
A much, much quicker game right here out of ThunderTalk. They realize that they just needed to push a little bit further forwards, and NIP snap back immediately. As soon as they do, as soon as they have those 225 stacks on the Smolder, Leave is just running through people. Ninjas in Pyjamas, they don't make it look easy. They don't make it look clean, but they do pick up the win. As you said, critically, they only drop a single series to EDG in their first round robin.
And they get another crack at EDG, no matter what. So the top 2 spots become a little bit more interesting in Group Nirvana. But Bloxxer, it does really feel like I feel like we're in a weird spot actually, because games 1 and 2 even where NIP won, it was like, oh boy, NIP, they're dragging their feet again. They're, sloppy fights, weird decisions. They mend that in game 3, but how much confidence does that inspire you going into the second round robin?
It gives me confidence that they're going to be able to pick up the win in their next series up against ThunderTalk again on Thursday.
That's a good start.
But the way that they played this, it doesn't fill me with confidence. The last game is definitely better, and I think the last game is going to do a lot to plaster over the sins of everything prior. It's going to make me feel a little bit more confident about this team going on forwards, but I do not think that this version of Ninjas in Pyjamas, even in their last game today form, could beat EDG. EDG still just look like a significantly better team, and it does feel like we're beginning to get a little bit of a show where EDG are miles above everybody else, then NIP, and then everybody else are kind of scrapping out for those last couple of positions. It's an interesting place for the league to be in, and it's going to mean a lot once we get out of this round robin and once we get into those last chance play-ins matches. But for right now, NIP, there's just more that I need to see from them if I think they're going to come out of this as a top team in Group Nirvana.
That is a fun talking point, though, that you kind of alluded to a bit, that we have some time to discuss. And I've drawn this comparison a lot. Split 2, the sentiment about that play-in tournament was, Bloxxer was, okay, so, these 2 Group Nirvana teams, maybe LGD take a game off of their opponent. Maybe EDG take a game, but none of these Group Nirvana teams are winning a best of 5. Now, we have EDG, who you highlighted at the top of the show. We have some people championing, why can't they just make a run to Worlds? And now NIP, who do still have time to get more, more mesh with, again, a new roster where they added 2 new players to support and jungle, 2 really critical roles. And they're likely going to be that second seed. It's not out of outrageous to talk about them as a threat in the play-in tournament. The play-in tournament's going to be really fun. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely is going to be, especially at the moment where Team WE and FPX are kind of floundering. I don't know. I feel like WE have the ability, potentially, again, to turn things back around. FPX also, there's a possibility, right? Things are changing. Maybe. But it's going to be fun either way, right? EDG are going to be going into this one as, not favourites probably in the play-in tournament, but someone that we're going to be really respecting. Do NIP go in as somebody we're respecting, I think is the question. Leave, once again, a big part of this game. OnXM was just held completely out of this one. He was not allowed to play this game at all. And that's despite the fact he got 2 kills early on.
It's just the pains of playing a Kaisa in a game where there's a range advantage that scales up in your face, and Solokill as well, who I think was really monstrous on this Cassante. Just glad to see a shortened gold graph, because we talked about in all 3 games, no matter what the series score says, 15 minutes to 25 minutes, NIP dominated. It's just after that they struggled to keep the pedal to the metal. This game, they just never looked back.
Yeah, at this point, they just knew that they'd won this game, and they play it slow in the moments that they need to play it slow. And this is the correct way to play, right? You are waiting for 225 stacks for Smolder. That's how you have to play this game. But you don't need to be super aggressive up until that point, because there's no big objectives coming. And Lever's doing a good enough job of being able to get himself a free enough laning phase and stacking up quickly enough that the point at which you can just snap, engage, and fight is at the right moment. He's got 225 stacks here during this fight that we are seeing around Atakan. That's pretty quick. That's well done out of Leave to be in that position. And then beyond that, it's the fact that there's ThunderTalk, you lose out the smite fight onto the Atakan. It doesn't ruin the game for them, right? That's not the thing that loses them this game, but it's one of the things. That was a big objective they were trying to play around, and they just completely miss out on to that objective.
But there is my player of the game, too, providing so much value in this game. I know the damage charts didn't really show much, but the few outplay spots for NIP members in this game, it really felt like it was Solokill, soaking up so much pressure on this Cassante. You talked about, the 2v1 we saw earlier. He's catching SeTab with these really good all-outs. He grabs that clutch team fight that really started the ball rolling. I hope that we see some recognition for Solokill in this game.
He's the reason that 1xN isn't able to step up and actually play the game. And it's into a rough lane matchup, right? You see the Gnar constantly poking him out. It's really tough to actually go toe-to-toe with the Gnar in lane, but he absorbs that pressure, gets himself into these skirmishes and teamfights, and manages to completely take over. I agree. I would like to see Solokill get the MVP for this game. I'm worried. I'm worried about this series again on Thursday. We're not covering it, right? But
no, we are absolutely not.
We don't have to do this twice in a row.
we have been scorned enough by this matchup. And I do want to say, I know there's a lot of jokes around Group Nirvana with some other casters here. You know what? Actually, I think I had an angel on my shoulder whisper into my ear for a second there. I would love to cover this series again. Let's go with that approach.
It's fun.
I would love to so much that I would definitely be okay with getting swapped onto the day, because I love watching ThunderTalk versus NIP. I'm definitely not a hostage right now.
Hey, I am a big fan of Group Nirvana games. I love Group Nirvana games where they throw themselves at each other. Right?
Yes, but that's not what happened this series.
No, we had 80 straight minutes of these teams looking at each other and at objectives going, that'd be cool to have.
All right, let's see.
Such a shame.
There we go. Okay, cool. So,
good.
Hey, you cooked on the Naiyou player of the game.
Yeah.
I feel like I cooked a little bit here with Solokill. Yes, second player of the game of Group Nirvana so far.
He was huge. He was really, really huge for his team. Incredibly impressive, honestly, throughout the entire day. Even in that first game that they end up losing, I don't think that was Solokill's fault in any way. And so if he could keep up this momentum, he was someone we were very excited for. When they brought him in at the end of last split, and when they were able to really play around him this split, he has been a big part of their victories so far, and I'm excited to see what he can do in their next matchup versus ThunderTalk, and then just again versus the remaining teams in their second round robin.
I like that word you used, Bloxxer. Momentum. How else can I impact momentum? Oh, right. Our next matchup of the day, Group Ascend. Momentum is a very key player here. Top Esports got walloped by BLG for their first series loss of the split so far, and AL may have gotten over their international event hangover. The two teams are Split 1 and Split 2 champion for the first time. We'll go head-to-head in our final split after the intermission you won't want to miss.